What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, managing editor of Fightful.com, FightfulWrestling.com, where you can go to get all of your exclusive news, podcasts, interviews, videos, photos in pro wrestling, MMA, and boxing. Of course, we broke the news of Ronda Rousey's first Raw match shortly before Raw tonight, as well as some more happenings on tonight's show. You guys can go over to FightfulSelect.com if you want some additional podcasts, additional content. We do retro reviews. We have two coming up in August. We have the bi-weekly Q&A show, dark match commentary. It's definitely worth a look. Just head over to FightfulSelect.com. Take a glance at what we have going on over there. This show brought to you by BlueChew.com. Use that code FIGHTFUL. We'll tell you more about that later. Brock Lesnar in the house for this episode of Raw. But I am joined by Alex Pawlowski, per usual. And we got some not so great news this weekend, Alex. Honestly, a lot of not so great news. Brickhouse Brown passed away. The father of Trevor Lee passed away. And to WWE fans, they'll know a little bit more than those names. Nikolai Volkoff, Grandmaster Sexay, Brian Christopher, Brian Lawler, both passed away this weekend. Brian Christopher's in particularly disheartening fashion. What were your thoughts when you heard of these passings this weekend?
Well, I mean, okay, I'll get the one that's not as depressing out of the way first. Nikolai Volkoff to me was always just a heat magnet. I mean, obviously in the 80s during the height of Reagan era Cold War policies and stuff like that, this guy coming out and requesting that you stand in silence as he sings the Soviet anthem. I mean, it's great. He's him and Iron Sheik. It's a throwback, but I love the idea that, like, if that guy wasn't who he was in the 80s, I don't think we ever get peak Rusev riding out on a tank. You know what I mean? Like there's an absolute through line from that character and what that guy was in the mid 80s to that, like the foreign heel thing. Like, very few people did that better than Nikolai Volkoff. And it's sad to hear of his passing, but I mean, Grandmaster Sexay, like, I was a Too Cool mark back in the day. Like,
a lot of people were. They were a very overact.
They were so much fun. Like, and the whole thing is, like, I didn't believe for a second they were any good. Like, I mean, like, I liked his leg drop was fine, but Scotty 2 Hotty, come on. It was just like their whole presence. And when they got together with Rikishi, like, it was this wonderful, complete mismatch, opposites attract kind of a thing that you never thought was going to work, but it totally worked. The thing that was been tweeted over Twitter is the clip from the Royal Rumble. I forget what year it was, where it wound up the three of them were in the ring together.
2000.
And they brought out 2000, and they brought out. I mean, I was watching that live, like on pay-per-view with friends. And when they brought out the sunglasses and the lights went down, we popped on the couch, just like everybody in that arena did. It was a huge thing. And I mean, it's just so tragic where somebody can go from that, like tens of thousands of people in that arena screaming for you in that kind of a way that is what that is, and to less than 20 years later to a point where there's it's horribly tragic.
Nikolai Volkoff. I'll save the anecdotes for Jimmy. He was more Jimmy Van's time, and I know Jimmy Van's heard plenty of stories about him, so we'll talk about him at length on the Listen Ya Boy on Wednesday. Also, I'll share a little story about him. It ties in recently. He was inducted in the Hall of Fame in 2005, won a couple of Slammy Awards, was an international WWF Tag Team Champion, and won the Tag Team Championships in the WWF with Iron Sheik. Man, I got to know him mainly because of retro clips and because of his participation in the $1 Million Corporation in the mid-90s. But where even then, I wasn't that plugged into wrestling. But where I really got to know him was when they put him on the WWE video game about 15 years ago. I learned a lot in my early 20s about what wrestlers did because of those video games. And he was one of them that maybe I wouldn't have known if not for that. I love the clip WWE posted a couple years back of him singing the anthem with Rusev and Lana. I posted a picture of that on my Twitter.
So great.
And it's a rough one. He's a rough one to lose. He's 70 years old, which, man, still seems too young. Brian Lawler, Brian Christopher, Grandmaster Sexay. I mean, he got his first look in WWF in 93. He wrestled Jimmy Snuka, and then he was brought in 1997 to help launch the light heavyweight division, and they wanted him to be a big part of that. You saw Taka Michinoku wish his family well, and they were two of the big pieces of that light heavyweight division, and it just didn't work out for him. They put him with Scotty Too Hotty. Well, at that time, just Scott Taylor, a guy who had been a jobber for years in the WWF. And, their gimmick was that they were awfully physical with one another, and it was going down that path. And I believe one of them got hurt, and when they came back, they just had an awesome gimmick. They had the Too Cool gimmick, and they added Rikishi to it. And, man, they were something that fans of that era will never forget and will always look back fondly on. They were so over. And I really thought that maybe they got their title run a little bit after when they should have. It wasn't at their peak, but at that time you had so many good tag teams. Yeah. And you got to remember, everybody talks about Edge and Christian, the Hardys and the Dudleys. But think about what teams were there that were over that nobody talks about. Nobody talks about the Right to Censor, how white hot they were. Nobody talks about Too Cool. And I mean, you had like Road Dogg and X-Pac like 7 or 8 down the depth chart. That's an insane tag division that these guys were able to flourish in, and I think that says a lot about them. And guys, I encourage you. I mean, I know a lot of jokes were made at the expense of Brian Lawler in the past few years. If you have any friends with substance abuse issues, I know it can be hard to not shut them out. Just reach out here and there. You never know if your voice might be the one that they need to hear, especially in a situation like that. That is a truly tragic way to lose somebody and a tragic end to somebody's loss. So our condolences to the friends, family, and the fans of all 4 of the lives that we lost in pro wrestling this weekend. I know that Trevor Lee, his family, was having some trouble covering the funeral costs, and a lot of wrestlers stepped up. I know Moose did. I know that Jack Stain did. I know that EC3, Rockstar Spud, I believe Nick Jackson, a lot of people contributed. Head over to Trevor Lee's Twitter, and if you all wouldn't mind, donate if you can, help out that family. And, of course, also condolences to the family of Brickhouse Brown. I think he was 57. Man, that's horrible. That's horrible. Shout out to our friends at OMG for the sponsored donation. Much appreciated. We got WWE Raw to talk about, though. I've seen worse episodes of Monday Night Raw, Alex.
Well, the standard isn't very high. I mean, that's a low bar to clear.
I've seen worse. I've seen worse.
Low bar to clear. No, it's not the worst I've ever seen.
Like, if this were Liar Liar and I were laying in bed next to the writing team and they said, "How was it?" I would look at them and say, "I've had better."
Yep.
And they'd kick me out of the room.
Yeah.
But, there was some good on this show. Matching gear was good.
Yeah, there was some matching gear. That was good.
What stood out to you the most on this episode of Raw?
My God, it's freaking Groundhog Day. Can we not do the damn thing over and over and over? And I mean, listen, by the end of the night, at least it was slightly different. But I guess, I mean, we'll talk about this when we get to the end. But depending on whether you think the crowd was chanting for Roman or Strowman, it may have been mission accomplished with all this ridiculous stuff trying to get Roman over as a babyface. How will he ever overcome this monster at SummerSlam in 3 weeks on the WWE Network? Yeah, it doesn't work for me. Your mileage may vary, but this whole thing, it's just the whole thing's empty, man. It's devoid of substance.
It's insulting, is what it is. But we'll get to it. We'll get to it. Guys, if you all haven't and you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. We are available on iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM, iHeartRadio, virtually everywhere, so you have no excuse to not catch us. You can download the MP3 on the website a few hours after the show is over. Leave us a thumbs up. And most importantly, comment, guys. People ask me, I might not have the money to subscribe to Fightful Select. How can I help? Commenting on YouTube, and most importantly, commenting on the stories on Fightful.com themselves. I can't tell you how important that is. Start a conversation, share our stuff, but like I said, comment on the story on Fightful.com. We do our best to grow a community there. We have live coverages and discussions of every show. We start off with the in-memory graphics for Volkoff and Grandmaster Sexay. We also see a video about Roman Reigns and Lashley's match last week on Raw. Brock Lesnar is backstage looking like a red human Easter egg. Son of a bitch is so purple all the time.
Yep. Yeah,
I think he spends so much time up north. As soon as he hits the air, with the combination of the hypertension and the sun, who was the guy on Willy Wonka? Augustus
Gloop. No, but you're thinking of Violet Beauregard.
Oh, okay.
The Blueberry Girl. Yeah.
Okay, I'm thinking of Violet Beauregard.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe Augustus had a tint to him as well. Roman Reigns gets some heat coming out and says that he had to learn to respect Bobby Lashley last week, but he does not respect Brock Lesnar. If you have seen a promo with Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman in the last 3.5 years, then you saw this promo.
Yeah. Hey, spoiler alert. Roman Reigns doesn't like that Brock Lesnar doesn't like to show up and defend his championship. Spoiler alert. Paul Heyman is the advocate for the reigning, defending, conquering, blah, blah, blah. It's the same thing. It's over and over. Nothing changes. That's why especially this opening segment, there was nothing to it. Nothing. I don't care. And listen, it might titillate some people that you have Roman call Brock Lesnar a bitch, but I don't care. I don't care. It doesn't do anything for me. He said it too many times for it to actually have any meaning at this point.
It doesn't have the ooh factor anymore.
Yeah.
It seems to me like WWE wants Roman Reigns to be everything besides Roman Reigns. That seems like the real issue here. Paul Heyman cuts a promo about putting down the big dog and that Lesnar will move back to UFC to become a 2-sport champion. I could stand to see some new material out of these two besides Roman said a bad word. Naughty.
He's not supposed to say that, is he?
Oh, he went off the script.
He's a rebel.
Whew. We get these segments backstage, so I'll write a little more about this in the Fightful Wrestling Weekly, which we cover on FightfulSelect.com's A Weekender podcast, as do our friends over at Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Subscribe. But WWE, I was told that they were taking a bit of a different approach, and they did tonight. They went heavy on the backstage segments, and I kind of liked it. It was different. It got a lot of people involved. It weaved the story in and out. However, this happens a lot. WWE takes these initiatives a lot, and then a few weeks later, they get lazy and they forget about it. And they change it. Oh, no, we can't do that. It's, I can tie it into my work. Sometimes I get really motivated and I start a new feature, and then a couple weeks into it, I'm like, shit, I got to make this happen every week now. Damn, I just committed to a new podcast every week. But you got to do it. They don't have to do that. They can switch up their formula and say, piss off viewers, it doesn't matter. But tonight, I loved what they did.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess I just said it didn't do anything for me either way. I didn't hate it, didn't love it. It's a new thing. It's fine. You do have a rather large locker room full of people who could be out there in the ring doing stuff as opposed to just hanging out backstage. But I guess if they're not killing themselves for the business, that's good. They can actually stay healthy. Did you ever find out what happened to Mustafa Ali? Because he posted a random picture from the hospital, and I was like, no, he is my sweet, precious boy. He cannot be hurt. I love him so much.
I reached out to WWE for comment, and I got a pretty generic, hey, I'm on vacation auto reply. so there you go.
That sounds good. I'm glad we cleared that up.
Yeah. The auto reply instructed me to contact someone whom I have never contacted before. So I'll find out. I'll find out. I'm gonna try, but So Brock Lesnar's backstage reading an outdoorsman magazine in which Total Divas Eps on Twitter had a bunch of fun with. Go over and check out their PNG image and create your own magazine that Brock is looking at. My personal one was How Do I Beat Up Matt Riddle by Sean Pearson, formerly of Fightful.com. The only person on Fightful.com who has ever beaten up Matt Riddle. Deonna Purrazzo couldn't do it. Jason Kincaid couldn't do it. I'm pretty sure Shane Helms won't be able to do it. This is really what I didn't want out of the story, but we will get to how it paid off later. Brock Lesnar backstage saying, I don't watch the show, Paul. Why would I watch the show?
Right.
It's like, I know what you're doing.
Yeah, here's the thing. That comment, devoid of context, in a vacuum, makes me love Brock even more. Because you shouldn't watch the show, Brock. It's crap. Most of the time, it's crap. You can watch some YouTube clips, get caught up on it, or you can do what a lot of people are apparently doing. They don't watch the show. They just watch us talk about the show and shit all over it. You could do that. But within the context of this whole thing, like, I don't watch the show. I'm not a nice person. I don't care about the WWE Universe, and I damn sure don't care about you. Oh, he's a bad guy. We should root against him, huh? Says all the children in the audience. It's so transparent. Like you can do it without being so heavy-handed about it.
It was very blatant. They laid it on heavy all night. Thick. Way too heavy. Thick. Lesnar tossed Heyman's phone, which was kind of funny. I was like, damn, how does Heyman already have a clip of that? Like he's like, look at what Roman said. And I'm like, damn, WWE doesn't get him up that fast.
Yeah. Maybe he's like, he's got the PS View app on his phone. He's gonna run it back or something.
Got the 1 minute delay on it.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, he's watching pirated stuff.
Yeah.
WWE, do something about this. This was WWE trying to force the babyface reaction in the Lesnar I don't care about WWE thing. Angle isn't happy about Lesnar refusing to appear in front of the crowd, and Heyman says it's Angle's problem. Angle says, nah, son, it's yours. And I'm going to fire you if you don't leave or if you don't get Lesnar out there. Heyman's trying to convince Lesnar to go out and cut a promo, but Lesnar says he doesn't care about anything or the WWE Universe, which makes him sound like a huge fucking dork for saying that. Mm-hmm. Never, ever, ever in the 8+ years that I have covered pro wrestling, when somebody has ever talked to me about pro wrestling, have I referred to the WWE Universe instead of fans or readers or viewers or listeners. Mm-hmm. Not once.
Yeah. Nor should you.
So weird. So weird. Constable Corbin defeated Finn Balor. This match went 20 minutes long, Alex. And I think that these two work well together.
Yeah, I think there's a fantastic 12.5-minute match somewhere out there between these two guys. I mean, like really, really, really good. There's never going to be a good 20-minute match between these two. You can't. I mean, it's just like if you have Baron Corbin like get the guy in a headlock for 8 minutes. No. No, it's not great. I don't like that.
You know, we talk about going long.
Yeah.
And sometimes Raw goes a little bit long.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes Raw is hard to get through.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes watching WWE Raw can just, Alex, leave you flaccid.
Yeah, sometimes it does.
Just,
yeah. I wish there was something that I could take that would cure my flaccidity when watching Raw.
You know, our good friends over at Blue Chew can fix that for you. Let's talk about sex, my friends, because after this, it's gonna be hard to get motivated. Fortunately, you can increase your performance and get that extra confidence in bed even after a totally demoralizing episode of WWE Raw. BlueChew.com, that is blue like the color blue, my beautiful shirt. It brings you the first chewable with the same FDA-approved active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, so you know they work. You can take them anytime, day or night, even on a full stomach. That's you can take them on a full stomach or an empty stomach. So maybe you have vomited profusely after Raw. That doesn't matter. You can still take Blue Chew from BlueChew.com. Since they're chewable, they work up to twice as fast as a pill, so you can be ready whenever the opportunity arises. If it's 10:40 p.m. Eastern, and you're like, this show is not going the way that I planned, you chew that bad boy and you are ready to go. Blue Chew is prescribed online and shipped straight to your door in a discreet package. So no in-person doctor's visit, no waiting at the pharmacy. Alex, you don't have to put on your mask to go to the mailbox and get this stuff.
Wow. You're telling me that I can get erectile dysfunction pills without wearing a mask?
Listen, it is the night your sex life was revived, #1, and you can get this at BlueChew.com. Use that promo code Fightful, and you can try it for free, Alex.
For free?
For free, Alex.
For free?
You just pay the $5 shipping.
Wow.
BlueChew.com. Use that code Fightful. Well, Balor and Corbin went 20 minutes.
Well, yeah. Perhaps they There's
some back and forth action. Some action. Until Balor gets clotheslined on the apron by Corbin. Corbin does his boss man spot and hits a really nice backdrop on the apron. Part of me thought this was like their SummerSlam match. Like maybe they're not getting this match at SummerSlam. And then I remembered, wait, they just had this match on pay-per-view.
They did.
Why are they going this long?
Because they don't have anything. Because they had to wait and give us the anticipation of the Rude Raleigh feud happening next week, not this week. They had to build the anticipation, Sean. They couldn't give us any bit of that in the ring this week.
Oh, you know we're doing some plugs with In the Mood for a Rude Raleigh feud.
Yeah.
Oh, God. So Balor kicks Corbin off the top rope, and it's a tope con hilo. Because there's at least one on every damn WWE show. Corbin goes right back to the half Nelson crossface that he did 10 minutes earlier. This picked up heat, but this did not need to be this long. Corbin gets a 2 count on a deep 6, and then a missed coup de grace leads to Corbin getting the end of days for the win. Good old fitty booking.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I love it. Nobody gets over. Finn Balor got beat up afterwards. Why? Why, Alex?
I don't like 50-50 booking as a rule. I don't like it. However, there's a potential where it's not just, hey, you won last time, so you win this time. If it's not that, and there's a storyline about how these guys are really evenly matched, like one guy is really lithe and fast, and it's hard to get a grip on him, but the other guy is super powerful, and if he catches you in his finisher, you're done. Like, depending on what happens in each match, like, there could be a different winner. You could tell a story about that, but WWE's
finish is super protected.
Right.
The end of days has never been kicked out, up to my knowledge.
Not that I know of. This is the thing, is that WWE is terrible at doing that kind of thing. They just lazily go, like I said, you won last time, so you win this time. And they just figure out how to have a match around that, as opposed to really telling the story about how these two guys are really evenly matched, and they're not doing that.
Did you legitimately just send me your payment invoice in the middle of a broadcast, Alex?
I did, because I'm going to forget to do it later.
I just saw that notification on my phone, and I said, "What from Alex? What's wrong with the broadcast?" Nothing. We had crazy liking Alicia Fox backstage. I love this Alicia Fox. She always does it well. She does it better than anybody. Alexa Bliss says that Mickie James is injured, and she handpicked Alicia Fox to replace Mickie, which, I mean, I guess she doesn't have a lot of friends backstage right now, but curious selection.
The only other option would have been like Dana Brooke.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, here's the thing, though. Alicia Fox, I totally buy being like, listen, I've been on the shelf with a broken tailbone forever. I want to get back in the ring. I'm also crazy as a loon, so I'll absolutely switch from babyface to heel whenever I want to. I buy her being like, yes, Alexa, we're friends now, and I'm going to fight whoever you tell me to. A lot more than I bought Mickie James out of the blue becoming her best friend. So this is fine with me. I don't know what's up with Mickie James, if it's a long-term or short-term injury or whatever. I totally buy Alicia Fox as Alexa's foil here.
It's good to see her back in the ring.
Yeah.
Rousey
really
and Bliss are at ringside. Fox pulls the ring skirt out and catches Natalya in it and beats her. Then Fox starts working the leg over in a very unique way. Fox uses an airborne abdominal stretch that I thought looked awesome. I love that hold. And the two both traded pretty good clotheslines. I love Alicia Fox's Northern Light suplex. It's one we haven't been able to see in a while. She does it so well, gets a great bridge. Fox goes after Rousey to distract the ref, which allows Bliss to crack Natalya with a punch. And, she throws great punches too. A big boot from Fox also looked good. Hits Natalya. Well, what I could see of it, because production missed the finish, per usual. After this, Ronda Rousey goes crazy, and even when you see her run, like, she has to slow herself down a little bit because you can tell she's a little bit of a different kind of athlete.
Yeah.
Because, like, Alicia and Lexa are like, hey, you're not supposed to catch me yet. Let me get to the barricade. She whipped these girls' asses so bad. Like, when Rousey sends these girls for a ride, they're just along for the ride, Alex.
Yeah. Rousey, to me, it's like if they hadn't just, to me, kind of wasted the whole idea of the female Terminator thing and Terminator 3 or whatever that was, she's absolutely the female T-1000. Like from Terminator 2, where he's just running down the freeway and just jumps on the back of the car. Like,
China wanted that role, right?
And did she really? Wow.
Yeah, she wanted that role. Apparently, there was a pretty big push for her to get it, I think.
I'm very impressed with when she turns on "I'm gonna kill you" mode. Like, it's totally believable to the point where I genuinely am scared for the people that she's chasing, especially Mickie when she wears her ridiculous high-heeled stiletto boots. I'm like, you're gonna snap an ankle, hon. I mean, hey, that may have been what happened. Maybe why she's not around, because she was running from Ronda Rousey in high-heeled boots. But no, this was really good. I liked all of this.
Alicia Fox would gain a measure of revenge on Rousey, attack her. I thought it all looked good. This was an effective series of segments. It sets up Ronda Rousey backstage fired up. I thought she delivered her lines well. She looked good doing so. She said, give me a match soon or I'm going to get suspended again. And Angle says, all right, next week on Raw. As reported by Fightful.com, Ronda Rousey will face Alicia Fox on Raw. How long do you think this match goes?
3.5 to 4 minutes.
Really? You think there's going to be some shenanigans?
I do. I think there's going to be some shenanigans. I think that Alicia Fox is going to land a big boot. I think she's gonna, she'll get in a few bits of offense, and then it'll be, Alexa Bliss hitting with a title or something, as she's going for the pin after her crazy, like, Samoan F5. I don't know what to call that thing that she does. It's a very odd
spinning Samoan drop.
Yeah, it's very cool. I like it a lot. It's vicious looking. I'm assuming she's going to hit that on Alicia Fox, and then Alexa Bliss is going to break up the pin with the belt. That's what I'm thinking.
I think you should just give her the win. I mean, it's Alicia Fox. Who gives a shit?
Oh, I think you should too. I'm saying what they're going to do, because there's no such thing as a clean victory leading up to the pay-per-view when you could just have the heel she's feuding with get in the ring and stop it. Like we saw later with Dolph and Drew and Seth. The WWE has one story that they like to tell when it's in this particular thing, and that's what it's going to be, I think.
By the way, China actually auditioned to be the female Terminator. Interesting. The more you know. Elias comes out. Well, he's already out. Brags about his new song, says that Miami is a stupid city that idolizes The Rock. You think this is planting a seed? I mean, it seemed like that would, if it were going to happen, if The Rock was going to be there this year at WrestleMania, I thought it was going to be with Elias.
No, he's the perfect foil for The Rock, because he can go, but he's also bulletproof. Like, The Rock can hit the rock bottom on him, and like he'll be fine on Raw. Like, it's very easy. So I don't know if, as far as like if it's The Rock having a real wrestling match, or The Rock coming in and squashing some guy. Either way, I think Elias would be really great at it. So, but that's also months from now. So we'll see. We'll see how where things go from here.
So he also makes fun, he being Elias, makes fun of Bobby Lashley, who interrupts. And Elias says he knows that Lashley doesn't just want to walk with Elias, he wants to sing with Elias. Elias is going to keep it slow and simple, just like Lashley. And Lashley just sings along. He's into it. Then Elias beats him up. I'm like, what's the problem here? What's the beef?
I guess they're going to say that Elias didn't like that Lashley sang better than he did.
Oh, boy.
Or some stupid thing like that.
Oh,
like,
boy.
You stole my spotlight, even though I was the one who asked you to sing, because I thought you were going to suck, but you were good, even though Bobby Lashley was not good.
I just begged them to make sense of a couple of things. Like, that's it.
But but they're not. But they're not gonna, because they don't have to, because their stock prices through the roof. So there's no incentive for them to get better.
Lashley comes back, beats up Elias. Here I was thinking this match had already happened, but it hasn't. They've been in some triple threats. They've not had a match yet. Just Bobby Lashley beats the living shit out of Elias all the time.
Yeah. When Bobby Lashley made his debut, he interrupted Elias, hit him with a vertical suplex, and then they didn't feud after that, which I thought they were going to. And I guess now they're like, there's some beef there now. Maybe that's why Elias attacked him. If they said that, like, you made your debut by coming out and interrupting my song, and then you beat me up for no reason, so now I'm going to sucker you into me being able to hit you.
It would be even funnier if Elias said, I dealt with vertigo for weeks. By the way, Moose sidelined over the last week with vertigo, Alex.
Wow.
Who did he feud with for 6 months?
I don't know.
Bobby Lashley.
There you go.
Oh, man. Backstage, Kevin Owens compliments Constable Corbin. Owens says that his kid idolizes Corbin and runs around the house in a vest. He's fantastic. He's fantastic. He wants Strowman's briefcase, but Corbin says, tough shit, it's Braun's until SummerSlam. Angle and Corbin are also backstage talking to Stephanie about the main event segment or lack thereof. Later on, we see Mojo Rawley step into the locker room and trash everyone. Everyone being Zack Ryder, Kurt Hawkins, Heath Slater, Rhino, Mike Kanellis, and the Ascension. Bobby Roode shows up, challenges Mojo, then attacks him. Are you in the mood for a Roode-Rawley feud?
Never.
Me either. And there's really no reason to talk about this.
No.
Mojo Rawley was good.
He was good.
He delivers lines very well.
I loved the shot of talking about Zack Ryder. I beat up this guy so bad I sent him back to catering. Like, that's great. I mean, like, listen, it's a low blow, but it totally works. Totally works. They broke up the Hype Bros and said one of you is going to get a minor to medium-sized push. The other one is never going to be on main event. Like, that's what they're doing. So, you know, it's certainly telling. It made sense. He delivered the line well. I don't know how either one of these guys comes out better from this feud. Him and Rude, dude. It's just not going to be good.
Constable Corbin and Kurt Angle backstage make Roman Reigns leave in an effort to get Brock Lesnar to come out. He is escorted out by security and punches Corbin before he goes. So we're getting a Corbin-Reigns match next week or the week after.
Probably. Here's my thing about this. Were they security? Because you said officers? Like, I mean, they may be security officers, but they were, you know, supposed to be cops-ish. I mean, I think. And then, like, hey, cops standing 2 feet from me, I'm going to punch this guy for no reason. Is that cool with you? It is? Great. It's just a weird thing that, like, you know, there are no repercussions even when he does something like that. That's fine. Yeah. Somebody's like, well, Braun Strowman does even worse. I'm like, well, yeah, but it doesn't mean it, like, just consistency, I suppose. But I think that the logic is on my side here. You probably shouldn't just be committing aggravated assault unprovoked in front of law enforcement officers. Probably not.
Jinder Mahal versus Braun Strowman. Jinder Mahal won this match because Kevin Owens immediately shows up and steals the briefcase. As he runs from Strowman, he passes it to Sunil Singh, who gets mowed over, and Jinder wins via countout. Yeah, I thought this was an okay way to give Jinder a win. I mean, he's not wrestling very much, but he's on TV. He's a former champion. You got to keep him. WWE, I know what they think. You got to keep him somewhere near stuff like this, or else you admit that your entire 2017 was a colossal waste and a failure, which it was. Mm-hmm. Some of the worst wrestling TV I've seen in WWE. Mm-hmm. But it also does illustrate that Strowman can lose his briefcase like this. I thought it was fine. I mean, no real harm done. I guess it just makes Braun look dumb.
Yep, and that's my problem. This is the whole thing. We'll talk about that here, I suppose. Someone needs to explain to me why Braun Strowman isn't calling out Brock Lesnar. Says I have this contract.
No reason.
There's none. He's a giant monster who does whatever he wants when he wants. Why does he not want to become champion tonight? Because Brock's in the building. Go kick down the door of his fancy little room. Bring a ref with you and say, "We're going right now, Brock." Like you've backed yourself into a corner by putting the briefcase on him and then not letting him use it. Like I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense. It's actually better if Kevin Owens comes away from SummerSlam with this briefcase because he's sniveling enough that you believe he wouldn't actually use it. Braun believes that he can beat any 5 men at once. Why wouldn't he go after Brock?
Why isn't Kurt Angle encouraging Braun to do this?
I don't know. Somebody was hypothesizing that Stephanie on the phone was telling Kurt that he had to go down to the ring and make a stipulation that Braun's not allowed to cash in the briefcase until after SummerSlam because it would ruin the integrity of the main event that they planned.
Yeah.
And like, honestly, if they said that, it would make sense from their standpoint. But at that moment, Braun should turn the whole building upside down.
Yes.
It should be that bad. Like, why have you given this monster a golden ticket to become the champ whenever he wants, but he doesn't want to become champ? That's mind-bogglingly stupid. And then with this whole thing of look, he could get counted out too if somebody else were to come and steal the briefcase from him when he's wrestling. And I suppose it's kind of a lame way to do it. Also, their whole admitting that Jinder was a failure thing, it happened tonight when he celebrated winning by countout in a meaningless match, like by looking up to the heavens and screaming, chanting.
When he was champion, he won by hook or by crook too. That was the only thing I could hang my hat on the entire time, is that he never won matches unless it was like against Ty Dillinger.
Right. But at least he was defending his championship when he won, and that there was like, oh, good, I get him main champion. What do you get for winning this thing? I guess you could just say you beat Braun Strowman, even though everyone knows you didn't, and probably you'll pay for that next week. This doesn't make any sense. As soon as Braun won that briefcase, he said, the next time I see Brock Lesnar, I'm going to become champ. Brock's in the building tonight. So is Braun. What happened?
Maybe he didn't
Why? I guess.
I wish I didn't see Apollo Crews defeat Akam in what was, I think, his third singles match ever, Akam, in his life.
Yeah.
First since January 2016. It's been a while. Holy shitting butt balls. These guys need a manager. I will weekly remind you, sign Stokely Hathaway. I'd rather they be on main event still than what happened tonight. They cut a terrible promo. This is what developmental and managers are for. Akam applies a modified Cobra Clutch. Apollo fights back with a series of kicks. Akam suplexes him, and Apollo Crews rolls up Akam and pins him.
This is unforgivable, what they have done with them. They're finally starting to use Andrade Almas. Finally. But like, which gives me hope that there's something on the horizon for these guys, but this is not how you do it. These guys were monsters in NXT, and not only were they guys who destroyed everybody, but they also, when they were forced to, had long, good matches where there was lots of back and forth. They sold like champs. They were good, really good wrestlers in NXT. And since they've been called up, you've either A, not had them on TV ever, or B, they're feuding with Titus Worldwide, and this was basically a squash match. Like, this was all 85% of the offense.
I don't know.
80% of the offense was gotten by Apollo Crews.
It was a sneaky pin, and he had him in a Cobra Clutch and suplexed him. I wouldn't say it's a squash.
It was over way too fast. I wanted to see more of this, but you have a Raw tag team scene where you have these two jobbers who've been marginalized for years, and yes, it's a fun story that they're tag team partners now, but that's fine. And then you have Matt Hardy, who can barely walk. You have Bray Wyatt, who barely survived a car wreck. And you have the Revival, who finally are getting some kind of a meaningful push in some way, it appears to be. And then you have these guys. Like, these guys should have shown up on Raw and became the tag champs. Like, that's how you build these guys, and you say, well, who the hell are these guys? Have them roll through everybody. Bring out people. Have a match, and then that wasn't good enough. Bring somebody else. Have them then beat up another tag team. Like, really make these guys into something impressive, and then you can nerf them down the road. Why are you nerfing them now before they've even got a chance to do anything? It's I don't understand, and it does not bode well for all your favorites in NXT. You better hope they all stay down there for as long as possible, because this does not look good.
This was a failure to capitalize on ready-made monsters. The sad thing is, when WWE didn't have a lot of outstanding workers on their roster, they would have killed for these two guys.
Yeah.
They would have committed genocide for Braun Strowman, but they would have killed somebody for these two guys.
Yeah.
They had a real chance with these guys. Make the division special. They're the type of team you could put the titles on month one because you know why? They don't chase. They don't have to chase. They are what you chase. They are what you try to overcome. They are the wall you try to just overcome that is immovable and unstoppable and overwhelming. And man, you could right now I'm begging for them to sign Stokely, but man, they could have been great with Samoa Joe. Still could.
So good.
Still haven't lost as a tag team. But my God. A force for the Shield to have reunited against. It was these guys. It was these guys. This was shit, man. This was shit.
Yeah, it's a really, as you said, it's scary how poorly they've handled these guys so far. It does not bode well.
Very disheartening. Seth Rollins against Drew McIntyre. He defeated Drew McIntyre via DQ. McIntyre delivered the sick catapult underneath the ring. Mm-hmm. That was neat. I love just seeing something a little bit different, and I like that.
Yeah, I liked it too. What I wish didn't happen was he did that right before they went to commercial, and it really. I mean, they're selling it as though Seth has just had his windpipe crushed, but Michael Cole does Raw rolls on, and it's like, well. That just tells me that this isn't anything, as opposed to you could actually sell it to me as something like Seth's really hurt, whatever, and he's going to overcome this. But no, I know when you say it that way, Michael Cole, that when we come back from the break, guess who's going to be in charge and in control of the match? Seth Rollins, and he is. Which means you did that ridiculous spot of the catapult underneath the ring for nothing because it didn't even affect the match. Like that would be a great way for like Drew to like take guys out in his repertoire or whatever. But instead, you had him do it, and now it doesn't mean anything. Like you could use those moments that really look vicious to actually have meaning and weight. And instead, they don't.
We come back to see Rollins hit 2 suicide dives and a Falcon Arrow. Drew answers with a spine buster. Rollins super kicks McIntyre a bunch, and then he eats a super white noise. That was cool.
Yeah.
I mean, Sheamus isn't using it on Raw, so why not? A straight-haired Ziggler interferes after a curb stomp, which is still being referred to as the stomp.
The stomp.
It can't be that hard to come up with a new term for the stomp, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know they can't. It's whatever. But when he was Tyler Black and he called it the blackout, it was perfect. But you can still call it the blackout, even though he's not Tyler Black anymore. But there's got to be other things you can call it. I mean, the stomp is the dumbest thing I can think of.
Call it the dickweed driver for all I care. I mean, just call it something. The stomp.
The stomp. Better than the knee.
I mean, isn't it Kirk Franklin? He's going to come for that trademark, right? Was that him?
Yep. Could be.
The Revival defeated Deleter of Worlds. B-Team's interview follows a Mr. Perfect vignette. Do you remember the purpose of that Mr. Perfect vignette?
No, I do not.
I mean, maybe to remind people that he's related to somebody on the roster.
It could be, yeah.
They're confused about the Deleter of Worlds action last week. B-Team, not Mr. Perfect. Bo Dallas calls Charlie Caruso Charles, which I thought was funny. Deleter of Worlds show up and get a pretty good reaction. They call the B-Team's win an anomaly. Apparently not, because the Revival came out. They hung their hat on the Lashley and Reigns win, which I liked, and a wrestling match broke out in which the Revival won. It was not a particularly great match. B-Team was funny on commentary. There were a couple spots I liked. The Boston Crab leg drop that Revival did. what I am now calling the Ferrari body press, since Bray Wyatt has done that since his Husky Harris days. And we got a Husky Harris reference on commentary.
We did.
And then Wyatt has his hair pulled and walks into a shatter machine. Revival win.
Yeah, I'm always here for Bray Wyatt's hot tags. Like he's great at that. The crazy flying crossbody thing. I love his eyes in the back of his head, turn around, clothesline. It's always one of my favorite spots. His Uranagi is always stellar. I really like it. I think that if you're gonna have him wrestle with Matt Hardy, have him do most of the in-ring work, because sometimes I watch Matt Hardy try and stand up from sitting down and my hips hurt. So but I mean, he got his hair pulled, but I wouldn't call that necessarily like a thumb to the eye or a groin shot. This is as clean a victory as the Revival gets usually. I love the Shatter Machine. I love that the Revival are being treated as something here. They're the perfect guys to take it off of the B team eventually and really be the great tag team, one of the great tag teams in the world. Whether or not the WWE allows them to be that, we shall see. But yeah, I'm here for that.
I think the best course of action is a fatal four-way or a tag team turmoil or some sort of multi-team match at SummerSlam, and maybe you can kind of reset this division as best you can. Oh man, they just yuck. I mean, just the state of the division. Not Revival winning. I'm glad the Revival won, but you need a way to get teams like the Revival and teams like the Authors of Pain on opposite ends, because those two are like made for each other, those two teams. Meanwhile, like, how do you run the B team and Deleter of Worlds without sending those two guys to the goddamn compound?
I still don't know.
I know it was being pushed for by lots of people. I don't know, man. By the way, UFC interim welterweight champion Colby Covington was backstage at WWE tonight. He told Fightful recently he wanted to get a meeting with Vince McMahon. He was running around there with a Make America Great Again hat in which Jinder Mahal got a selfie with. Boy, that's curious. But you all can head over to FightfulMMA.com, click that exclusives tab for cool stuff like that. We had interviews with Khabib Nurmagomedov, Raquel Pennington, tons of people from the UFC Calgary show. Bayley and Sasha Banks defeated the Riott Squad. I like this match even more than the Rollins Ziggler or the Rollins McIntyre match because it had a finish. I like that Bayley and Sasha got matching gear, something that almost no other female duo in WWE does.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. If you're going to have a female tag team division, your flagship team should be Sasha and Bayley until you break them up, and then you can have the feud that we want. But as of right now, they're the team that can anchor the whole deal. They've ready-made opponents in the Riott Squad. There's other people that you could throw together. I'd like to see what an Ember Moon and Nia Jax tag team could do. There's a lot of fun you could have with people who aren't involved in the title picture, because you're going to keep the belt on Alexa Bliss, 11 months out of the year, and have her, feud with people.
I think the title's got to be floating. They never do it anymore, but they got to be floating. And I mean Raw, SmackDown, NXT.
That'd be cool.
NXT UK even.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Like,
my thought between is like if every pay-per-view is dual branded, then if the champions are on Raw, they face a team from SmackDown at the pay-per-view, and vice versa. However, the other brand figures out who their number one contender is, that's fine. A tournament, a fatal four-way, whatever it is.
Battle Bowl for all I care.
Yeah, but I think that'd be so cool. And what a great way of, although, they may try and put the kibosh on that, because as we know, there's only one night a year where the superstars of Raw and superstars of SmackDown go head to head in live in-ring competition.
Corey Graves corrected Michael Cole on a Meteora call, which made me laugh. Bayley and Sasha killed Sarah Logan with knees throughout this one.
Yeah.
During the commercial, Sasha Banks ate the second turnbuckle on a nice little whip drop toe hold spot. There was a super Frankensteiner from Bayley and a super Meteora from Banks that left Liv Morgan screaming on the cell. Logan breaks up the pin, and we got a Bayley to backstabber. I like their finish. You can tell that they've thought about this for a while. I definitely want to see women's tag team titles. If it helps you get more stuff involved, I want to see it floating. Just like you said, you can do something special. You can have them travel. Have them defend it on a takeover sometime.
Yeah.
Love of God.
There's a great way of like have your first ever female tag champions crowned at your all women pay-per-view. Like run 2 separate tournaments, one on Raw and one on SmackDown to get the top teams from each one. Depending on what you're planning on doing with the women's titles on each brand, if it came down, wouldn't this be great? I mean, think about this: Sasha and Bayley versus Charlotte and Becky for who's going to become the first ever female tag champs in WWE. That would be a really cool way of saying to the 4 horsewomen, you matter, and 2 of you are going to become the first ever of something. That's a really cool way of getting it done.
I mentioned FightfulSelect.com, guys. It is our premium service where you can get additional content starting at only $5 a month. And for that $5, next week you will get the retro review SummerSlam 1992 podcast that will be out. You also get early access to my match ratings, which go up on Fightful.com. Also, you'll get early access to our TNA Unbreakable 2005 retro review. You also get the weekly 205 Live NXT review podcast from Mr. Warren Hayes. While the G1's going on, you get a G1 wrap-up podcast. And every weekend, I do the Fightful Weekender podcast where I review Lucha Underground, Impact, Ring of Honor, Being the Elite, talk about WWE injury reports, and I give you exclusive news out of the Weekender. Give it a go. $5. So, we get the main event segment. Paul Heyman is backstage begging Brock Lesnar to go out there and save his job. Lesnar says he's not Heyman's friend and that Heyman has been leeching off of him for a long time. And I'm like, hey, bye. Kurt Angle and Constable Corbin in the ring. They call out Heyman. The crowd sings, na 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 na, to Heyman. He's about to get fired, he being Heyman. Lesnar comes out and F5's Angle and stares down Corbin after asking, you got a problem with me? Then Lesnar grabs Heyman's face and threatens him. And the crowd unleashes, we want Roman chants. And I'm pretty sure it was we want Roman chants. I saw people with weapons, or not weapons. Might as well be a weapon if it's a big dog sign.
It may have been Roman. Some people are swearing it was we want Strowman. Either way, people don't want Brock as your champ anymore. But this is I did like the idea of a Heyman coming out and saying, he doesn't care, he doesn't like me anyway, he doesn't want to be. He's a bad champ. He's the worst Universal champ of all time, dating all the way back to 2 years ago, which I thought was just whatever. But
there was a guy who held it for less than 24 hours.
And somehow I have him slightly higher than Goldberg on my particular.
Yeah.
My particular. Yeah. Anyway.
At least the second best.
At least the second best. But anyway, this is again a giant ploy to get people to hate Brock and root for Reigns. Listen, I'm rooting for Reigns because I want our long national nightmare to be over. Like, get the title on somebody who's going to wear it on the Raw every week. I don't care who it is. I'd much rather see almost anyone on the Raw roster take Roman's spot in this match because it would be a fresh match. It'd be something we haven't seen before. It remains to be seen if this crowd, the Monday Night Raw crowd in Miami, is the similar crowd to the Barclays Center crowd for SummerSlam.
It ain't gonna be. I had somebody say,
I don't think so.
I had somebody say, oh, well, Roman was getting cheered up until WrestleMania, and the WrestleMania crowd is just different. And I'm like, well, then the WrestleMania crowd's been at every Raw and pay-per-view, or at least 85% of them for the last 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Damn. I mean, I'm just ready to move on, man. I'm ready to move on.
Yeah, let's get this whole sordid chapter behind us.
Tired of the 3.5 year self-fulfilling prophecy of one guy wanting one guy over. I'm ready for him to have his dominant run, but goddamn if I can book it in my wettest of wet Blue Chew-induced dreams, Paul Heyman would turn on Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns would be the nastiest goddamn heel you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And you would make big stars off of the nastiest goddamn heel you've ever seen instead of failing over and over and over again and saying, well, he's already a heel, isn't he? And at least they're making noise. At least they care. Worst thing is not getting a reaction. You could have one guy getting the most heelish reaction, doing the shit worst things and getting people over as a babyface just because people don't like him. Instead of trying to force people to dislike somebody else to like, that's like walking up to a girl you know has a boyfriend and you talk a bunch of shit about her boyfriend. That doesn't make somebody like you. That makes somebody dislike somebody else. Is that really how you want to try to get the job done? Not to that doesn't make any sense to me. Why would you do that? Trash.
Yeah. This is the equivalent of running negative ads against your opponent. Like, okay, now I know why that guy's a piece of shit, but why should I like you? Like that, I guess because you're not that person.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
exactly.
Okay, I guess. I mean, listen, I can't stress this enough. I don't want Brock to be Universal Champion on the Raw after SummerSlam.
I don't either.
I would rather have whoever has the Money in the Bank briefcase after the Owens-Strowman match to cash in. I want that person to be champion over Roman. And because I think that would allow Roman to snap and finally become entitled enough to be heel or whatever. But maybe if they did that, it would just be like, oh, he was cheated. How can you not root for this guy? He's the world's greatest underdog.
To me, worst case scenario is 11:15 p.m. Eastern time, the night after SummerSlam, Brock Lesnar is still champion.
Yes.
It's worst case scenario.
That's the worst case scenario.
I don't care about seeing him as a two-sport champion. You know why? Because the thing is, you can take the title off of him, and then if he were to win the UFC championship, then you can have him win the WWE championship.
Yeah, but that's not what they would want in Stamford. They would want him to wear the belt to the ring. So it would be like, oh, here's our champion. Our champion is now WUSC champion, because they know the optics of this guy just became UFC champion. So now we're going to make him WWE champion. That's not, they know what that doesn't look right.
And I hope they realize, I hope somebody has clued Vince in on this. I'm hoping maybe he's taking a trip and somebody's, maybe Razor, who fought in Bellator, is maybe bent. Vince said, hey, but Daniel Cormier is going to beat the shit out of Brock. Real bad.
Yeah.
Real bad, man.
Yeah,
guys,
it's amazing how quickly you lose matches with other guys aren't setting up for you to German suplex them over and over again.
Guys, check out our other channel, Fightful Scraps. That's got a lot of clips from our shows. Give us a subscribe. I would very much appreciate it. Of course, visit Fightful.com. I know some of you just check out the podcast. Check out FightfulWrestling.com. It's a damn good wrestling website. If you all don't mind, leave a little comment on a story here and there. Engaging in conversation really helps us grow. Alex, where can people find you on social media?
You can find me at Pawlowski the 4th on the Twitter.
You can follow me at Sean Ross Sapp. Follow us at Fightful Online. Tuesday night, post SmackDown. Wednesday, The List and your boy, 3 p.m. Eastern. Myself and Fightful.com founder Jimmy Van. Jimmy Van is teasing a big announcement in which he never clues me in on until the day of. I have no idea. Literally, he has told me, hey, you're leaving the country in 3.5 weeks before. And I had no clue until the show aired. So we'll see what's going to go on there. Thank you guys so much. We're out.